Two independent people, you've got different goals. You definitely can have a dynamic relationship, and I think it's just kind of finding a good balance of that and being able to communicate.
It's a minimum 2 years if you want to do something really good.
I always describe it as like an out of body experience. I feel like when you've practiced so much in your off season and your contest prep, when I get out on stage, it's like I'm not in control of myself.
But I absolutely adore seeing my clients on stage.
It's like a proud parent in a way. You know what I mean? It's like that feeling. Like
you kind of know what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 3 of Going Off Tap. On today's episode, we have not only one, but two very special guests. We have bodybuilding power couple, Nicole Hitchcock and Daniel Chapelle on today. Now, these two are more than just a bodybuilding power couple though. Nicole is actually old enough to be my mum. And Daniel... And Daniel cosplays as Jack Ned Flanders in his spare time. Mm-hmm. We actually have a code you guys can use. You can use code NED for 15% off your first cameo with Daniel.
Should start charging for sure.
I would.
Good. Yeah.
In all seriousness, though, both are exceptional bodybuilding coaches. They're both pros, and Nicole is a WMBF judge also. Welcome, guys, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, no, we're absolutely stoked to be here, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
I wasn't prepared for that roast. I knew there was going to be a roast, but not quite to that extent.
It started as a joke. Now it's like it has to happen every time we do it.
Sorry for outing you for that one. At least Joey now gets a bit of reprieve for being... he copped it for being old on the first episode.
Now take the
How
cake.
funny. Yeah.
All right. So we thought we'd play like a quick little game to get to know you guys a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go 60 seconds. Well, we're not going to time it. It's just going to be rapid fire though. We'll go one by one for this one. What do you actively do in the industry? Daniel first.
I am a bodybuilding coach with BK Conditioning. And we get people super shredded.
Super shredded.
Super shredded.
Nicole.
Oh.
Quick fire, right?
Rapid
Fire
fire.
for this. I'm also a coach. I am independently branded, Nicole Hitchcock Coaching. I'm also a judge as well with WMBF. And that's a nice.
And a competitor.
I'm a
Both of us.
competitor. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's too easy to be humble. There's a lot of really fantastic people in this sport, so and this space.
But we're one of the good ones, so
We try to be.
How did you two meet?
We met at North Lakes, actually.
Yeah.
You ironed me off for a while.
I actually was. So it's definitely been a story that's been in rotation for a while, but I saw Daniel hip thrusting 300 kilos in the gym, and I was like, yeah.
beat him
She's
at
like,
the road
damn,
game.
if he can hip thrust 300 kilos for reps, what can he do with 60 kilos?
Yeah.
Dot. Were you just using the shitty gym hip thrust pads back then?
Yeah.
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 So-
Hips were getting absolutely smashed.
So this relationship is mutually beneficial then.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay. This is the real rapid fire. Who trains harder?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Good rapid fire,
I think we
guys.
both train pretty damn hard. I mean, you definitely train hard. I train hard too.
I guess
It
it's
depends.
exercise and muscle group. Specific, yes.
Maybe? No. Yeah.
Okay, who's the better poser?
Oh, what?
Ooh, yeah.
I would say Nicole on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who gets hangrier in prep?
Nicole.
And
Is that quicker?
and who's the boss of the house?
Nicole. Yeah.
Don't touch my PC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See,
This
room
is my domain.
Mine.
Excellent. Well, before we get into the hard stuff of the episode, we like to lighten the mood, give us a little bit of energy. And we do the GOAT Supplist. So how it works is we've got 4 flavors of Ghost Energy here. And Brandon has, you guys can't see it, but he's got this really cool graph thing that he uses. And essentially we go from bottom to top, starts at F, and then goes backwards up the alphabet, but I'm not going to do that because I'll get it wrong. And then top tier is GOAT.
All right.
So we're going to
You only
rate...
give one go.
One
We're gonna,
goat.
yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna save it.
You're gonna say
We don't have to give a goat if you don't think any of them are goated.
Go to worthy.
But yeah, we're gonna taste each flavor one by one, and we're gonna rate them. What should we start with? Lemon lime.
Original lemon.
Yeah, let's go with that first one.
All right.
That story of how we met totally makes me sound like a stalker.
Absolutely.
Hey, look.
I'm all for it.
Guys like being stalked, if
Right?
anything.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not the other way around.
Why stalk a girl when they can stalk you, right?
Exactly.
You
I
heard-
had one of those as well. She's quite weird.
It's me.
Yeah.
I can't open these with my fingernails.
Alright.
Okay,
Original lemon lime.
that's the camera.
Oh, original lime lemon. And if you haven't seen and haven't jumped on, Ghost Energy down below. Click the link.
Do we cheers or what?
Cheers.
Ding ding.
I feel like it's like
Do we have to do the wine, like the aroma
Yeah,
and
like
everything,
the-
the swizzle?
this actually smells like lemonade.
That
I
actually
quite like it. It's actually not
smells
bad.
and tastes really. This is much better than
Yeah.
Alright.
everything
This is
else
like-
we've done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Seabum.
I would actually take the citrusy with the vodka.
It's more
this
lime.
time. Yeah.
It's good. Solid.
Yeah, I like
Not too
this.
sweet.
I like this a lot. This is off to
Only
a,
5 cows.
Wait, we're gonna
and
drink all of
1
it, don't we?
cow.
I guess so.
Not
we,
bad.
we don't have a spit bucket.
It's got bull cum though. Turine. Is that what it is? Taurine, that's it. Yes, yes. See, it's like having a spell check, but cooler.
All right, Jono, what are you rating that one?
I give it a C.
Ooh.
I like it. I like it really, really strong, but I've had a lot of honey the last day, so I'm not sure how my taste buds are going.
Daniel?
I quite liked it. I thought maybe B. Yeah.
I'm gonna go C.
I'm going to go B. Yeah. Starting strong on this one.
I
Wow.
like sour warheads.
I say that in this knowing what's to come.
I already
and
know
I'm like,
for orange you're going to be like, nah.
yeah,
giving-
we're not really orangey flavored
Zed.
fans.
You're giving me a lot. I'm going to have to track this.
Yeah, 1 can. 1 carb. 1 carb, 1 deal. That's the real.
How much
Round
caffeine?
2.
160 megs in these bad boys.
Oh,
They're pretty
smells
good.
fun.
Oh, this
Zero
smells
sugar.
so good.
It's like watermelon?
Did you not think I'd
Oh.
like this one?
I was just like curious. I'm like, you're on
It's even got B12.
it actually
Look at that.
tastes like Warhead lollies.
Like, it's pretty spot on.
Oh,
This is great.
I'll probably say maybe like an A for that one.
That's
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
a top for me.
I quite like it. What is it? Watermelon? Is that right?
like-
Sour watermelon.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, usually
Actually
watermelon.
feel like a warhead
artificial
now.
watermelon is actually really good, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
They
agree.
try and keep it coming.
Actually, fun fact.
zesty.
My favorite lollies is like sour straps.
Oh,
Sorry.
can you still buy
Yeah.
those?
Yeah.
Candy World and Chermy.
Just Coles
Yeah, that too. That too. Candy World.
or Woolies.
Have
They
you
got
ever
the
eaten
real-
a whole packet though?
I'm gonna say I have.
I
Yeah.
have as well.
Really?
Burn your whole mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get to that point like you're almost at the end of the packet and you're like, I need to stop because
But
my
I won't
mouth-
stop. There's
feels-
only 3 left.
This is the,
Yeah,
this is the strap
I'm gonna
of the
finish.
warhead.
The straps.
They're good.
You can get warheads. Don't you used to have like 2 at one time? It's like, yeah, you got 2, and then you'd be
I
like
don't
drooling.
ever do that.
I'm also giving this an A.
This is solid. Yeah.
It's not
Number
goated.
one.
Good. Yeah.
Not goated though.
Is there S tier? Or is it goated above?
Goated is the
Is A.
highest
Yeah.
you can
Okay.
go.
I feel like I'm gonna get the rating system wrong.
Just think schoolwork, ABCD.
Yeah, I would rate that one just a bit higher than the lime, for sure.
It gets more sour the more you drink it. Or it is me.
Not a fan of orange,
Orange, yeah, it's
but
nasty.
if I say it's crap, then it'll taste nice.
Who was a fan of orange? Joey.
Yeah, honestly, that's one of my favorite flavors ever.
Orange?
Is it
Oh,
orange
sorry.
cream?
It's orange
Ooh.
cream. It actually has like a bit of a creamy kind of hit to it.
I quite like orange
Does it?
stuff. Yeah. Well,
Nowadays you got cream.
Canotto, so I mean that's orange cola.
I still haven't tried it, so I'm not even sure what it's
Orange
like.
cream.
This is gonna absolutely send me. I'm gonna start shaking through the episode.
I'm already not liking.
It's like
E.
a,
It's getting an E.
It reminds me of medicine.
I don't like it.
It's just horrible.
That bad? No, it's actually not bad.
Oh,
I don't
tastes
like
like flat.
it
Fanta.
tastes like fake
This-
vitamin
no,
C tablets.
yeah,
the
C-
ones, the chewable ones.
Vitamin C.
Yeah.
I know what you mean about like the kind of the creamy like yeah.
Seabum's orange is much better than this one. We're not
You know
sponsored.
what? Send us all the flavors and we'll try them all.
Yeah, no, I feel like I've just gone the medicine
I feel like
cabinet.
this blue.
Right.
If this
Come on, it's
blue
not that
doesn't
bad.
smack
No,
that,
I just that's what it reminds me of.
Like the red medicine.
No, like
Oh, I love red
like,
medicine.
No, the vitamin C chewy tablets you used to get when you were a
I feel
kid.
them,
yeah.
Like a Barocca kind of.
Almost,
Kinda.
yeah.
still
yeah.
eat those.
Yeah, maybe it's reminding me of the morning after our wedding.
We weren't too bad, so.
No.
No, you guys went on a hike.
Oh, no, it wasn't a hike.
Oh,
We went.
So we
We
rating it?
drove
What do we
there.
rate it? What'd you
yeah, I rated it an E.
That's the worst. Whatever the
E?
lowest.
Yeah.
score is.
I
I'm not a
reckon
fan.
C. I reckon C.
Take his discount codes away.
What are you rating it, Jono?
I don't like it at all.
What, an F?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm well below. I'm
Wow.
agreeing.
Wow. Sorry, Brandon.
Nasty.
I'll just be taking that.
So that's all right.
Yeah.
Do you want
For
it?
me, B,
Thank you very much.
A, B, C.
You take
Blue
that.
Ras.
Yeah.
Fucking pleasure, boys.
All right, blue
All right,
raspberry.
this could be good.
I
I
don't
quite
know why I
like
pictured
blue.
it to be blue so that my tongue was
Yeah,
fluffy.
I'm like-
Oh,
Fluorescent.
that smells like blue slushy. Like
does.
that smells
That's
like
good.
that syrup.
It's pretty good.
Oh,
Not,
Yeah, I still give it a B.
The
it didn't hit me
watermelon
as well
is
as I
still-
thought. Hey,
Nah.
Yeah.
I was waiting for a very stronger taste.
yeah.
I feel like we do this all the time. That watermelon one
A
was.
little bit let down. Needs to be stronger, Ghost. Nah, jokes.
Yeah, the first two flavors absolutely
If that
smashed.
was sour, that'd be sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
Yeah,
I'd say the watermelon was probably the goat.
Yeah.
Out of this, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm gonna do blue raspberry is getting a C for me.
I'm putting it as the B.
I got a concoction.
Oh my god.
Not far off.
Alright, that's better.
I'm probably gonna say, I think B as well. I didn't mind it.
Did
Probably-
we have two Bs now?
Wait,
Oh.
you can't do the same.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Those together.
Juicy.
Yeah.
It was quite nice. It was quite nice.
I'm
Make
not
it
gonna.
happen.
Just chemistry right
Yeah.
now. Just, you
I'm
know.
not gonna do that because it'll absolutely send me.
So I hope you guys are like weighing this all out, right? Because I'm relaying this to B after.
We're all kind of messed up in that regards because, like, you really are.
you were there and like, so that doesn't mean anything. It's Monday.
yeah.
If you didn't catch on, Daniel works with Brandon Kempter, who is also our coach. So
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. The real reason I'm here is I'm just
yeah,
spying right now.
he's actually
Yeah,
just
Sure
seeing.
everything's in order.
It's a three-way.
Look,
Yeah.
guys, at this point,
Strong.
I'm taking over. So, you know,
Yeah. You're coming with me.
fuck it, let's go an extra refeed day.
Okay, you're hired.
I actually think that is coming. As much as I'm like,
Can you, like,
Please.
I did because I never get. I used to get so angry when one you'd be like, "Bitch, got another fucking refeed," and I'd be, I'm hurting
that would pretty
real bad.
much be your
Yeah.
position.
And you
Well,
could just
no.
smell the kitchen, and I'd be like, "Ooh, mother!" We couldn't even sit in the same side of the house.
Yeah.
Like it was. I was
Well,
getting
when
that angry.
I was prepping Nicole, like I'd get my check and it'd be like, yep, 20 carb drop down to like 150 or 140 or something like that. And then we'd look at your data and I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm giving you another refeed, aren't I?
Like,
don't
I'm not saying no.
Don't know
Give
what
it
all
to me.
those are.
Yeah.
Guys, we are about to get into this type of chat.
Well, let's fuck
So, how about we move on to the questions?
All right.
Let's see what she did.
So, you guys, I mean, we have all prepped together as couples. How did you guys find prepping together?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty easy, right?
This one
Good
was
answer.
having hissy fits with wet socks after doing the dishes and there was water splattering on the
Yeah.
floor.
So, you know, like, I guess in prep, you know how, like, just the smallest of things can be, like, super irritating? For me, it's like wet socks. So, like, if there's water on the
So
ground and I have,
specific.
but you're cold in prep, right?
Yeah.
So like if I'm cold in prep and I'm wearing socks and I have to like take those socks off because I've put them in water, like, oh man, that was like one of my pet peeves in prep.
Who was doing the dishes at the time? Were you?
I mean, we both
think-
took turns
Well,
doing
like,
dishes,
just
but
Oh, no, we
specifically
had a
when your socks
dishwasher.
got wet.
The dishwasher used to leak.
it did leak a
Oh.
little bit. Yeah.
Okay, because
yeah.
I was like, damn, it
Yeah.
sounds like how Jono does the dishes. It's like tsunami all over the kitchen.
I do the dishes, but then it doesn't matter how I stack it. Even if you put it into a niceness, she'll come back and do it, and I'll get the shits and be like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. I'll just put it in the rack. You figure it
correct.
out. Yeah.
Correct.
But she never had to do the dishes.
You had all those extra calories as well.
Yeah.
You should be the one doing them. No, I'm
I'm
kidding.
sure I was. No, but as we were just saying, we had to eat in separate rooms.
We had occasions
we do that?
where
Yeah.
I got up and
A little
left.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, what with the lettuce?
Yeah, so it wasn't necessarily the,
Actually, I've heard this.
quantity of food. It was more that I was getting irritated by Daniel slow eating an entire lettuce for like half an hour.
Oh, that's mine for sure.
Yeah.
I'm
mouth
like, I've
noises.
done my meal. I'm
I'd
gone.
I'd get a cos lettuce and I'd like cut it up and then I'd put it into a bowl and then I'd mix my food into it.
Yeah.
And then I'd just be like, for the next half an hour. So much so that your parents still give me shit about it.
They do, yeah. Yeah, and the amount of little
Yeah.
caterpillars
Like
that
I-
you accidentally ate.
Possibly.
I don't.
So probably a few
I can't
extra bits
eat
of
really
protein in
slow.
there.
Like I just don't have that capacity. Like when everyone's like, "Oh, you got to eat it really, really slow," I'm like, it'll be gone. I'll be like,
Yeah.
"Thank God that's done." Like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. I think I was eating slow just by virtue of like being
Just
being
can't
slow.
be
were
bothered.
doing a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
slow things like I think for the most part we both were, but I would go to bed and other things, and Daniel would go have a shower to warm up, and he'd be in the shower probably not knowing that he was in there for a long time.
I would
asleep.
literally just
Yeah.
like practice posing in the shower. Like it was like the only warm place in the house. I'm like, I'm gonna practice my routine in the shower.
But then, I had periods where I couldn't communicate and I'd get frustrated. So you had to decipher what the hell I was saying.
Yeah.
Messenger.
But at the same time, I feel like, because I did my most recent prep, well, my last prep by myself, and I quite enjoyed having Jono like prep with me and like not being alone, but not being alone.
Got sick of
Sure.
And,
pizza
like-
so much so
And
many
like
times.
when we had steps to do at the end of the day, and we just go out and silently
Yeah,
walk
you don't
on the
talk.
street.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
It's like camaraderie for
Yeah.
no.
And you know if one of you is struggling more than the other because they're starting to fall behind in the pacing a little bit.
Yeah.
And turn around, you're like, you're right.
do you remember during, was it one of the lockdowns where we were just marching on the spot in the living room?
That's right. Yeah.
That's
Because
probably
it was like the whole
'cause,
fear,
yeah, your
the whole
prep-
fear of going outside, right? Like, don't go
Yeah.
outside, blah blah blah. So we'd be like,
Because you guys,
Standing next to each other.
the prep you guys did together was that time.
year.
That's
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
That-
What do you feel about prep now? As in, like, you're in prep and I'm not in prep, so this is a different dynamic now.
Well,
Does it feel more lonely without me prepping with
it
you?
definitely doesn't.
it's more about me.
I can do it without you.
So like there's things that are nice that you can do together, and you can share things, and you can share some struggles. But at the same time, like you're also doing that with me now.
100%.
So it's like you're openly saying, "I'll come get steps with you. I'll walk the lap of the street or whatever." You're not like going out of your way to change anything. Like you're still, if you want to eat something, I don't care if you want to eat something. It's you just kind of make it work, but it's like I'm supporting you and you're supporting me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't eat it in front of you.
Yeah, how did you
I-
find when I was prepping and you weren't?
Oh, so easy. I'd be going out. I'd actually feel bad sometimes. I'm like, oh, cool. Do you need anything? Because like I'm going out with the boys, or I'm going out for fucking dinner or something, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's not too bad. Or I'd be like, I'd get the shits because I'm like, fuck, I can't even eat this inside because like the wind will blow in. So I'd be like, oh, I fucking missed so much food today. So I'd have like 2 pizzas in the garage. I'd put the windows up still, eat it, and then I'd close the door so all the gust would go out. And as soon as I'd open the door, she's like, you had pizza. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like,
I can just
what
picture-
you want me to eat
There's a
for here?
salami
And as soon as she
pizza
said
idea.
it, I'm just like, you know what, I'll just fucking eat it. And so then I just started eating it in the house. So I was like, ah.
How funny. Yeah. I haven't necessarily had to hide any food from you.
I don't think there's a point in hiding it though. Like I think that makes the situation worse for both.
Yeah, I think you
parties.
just make
Yeah.
it nice. And it was like, oh, I'm considerate. with
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
or
Yeah.
you're
You
like,
know what
oh,
I find different though is that there's more of like, hey, I'm gonna buy you a snack.
Oh,
I'm gonna buy
yeah.
you-
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna buy you. It's almost like a live. It's almost like a live vicariously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
eat this
yeah.
real quick?
Yeah.
Well, Mother's Day just gone. I was like, oh, my mum likes white chocolate, and there's like these cheesecake flavored Lindt balls, and I was like, she's gonna eat them.
She would love that.
Yeah.
Describe them
Tell me
to
how much you
how do
like
they
this,
melt in
Mum.
your
This is
mouth?
great.
And I was like, by that point, I was like freaking 2 minutes into prep too.
Yeah, it's like when you bought the croissant for your dad,
Yeah.
and he didn't even eat it. I ended up eating it.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's okay. I think that like you make it work. Like if you've done it before, you know how the other
sure.
person feels.
Sure.
You can sort of get like the little tells too, like they're gonna get the shits. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go for a walk, or okay, just let me do my thing.
And if you're like having a hungry day, usually I'll say to you like, you don't need to sit here and watch and like sit next to me while I'm eating right now. Like you can go upstairs and do what you need to do.
TikTok.
It's like a politeness thing. Like you want to stay with your partner while you're eating at the table. But
Yeah.
I know if it's making Nicole more hungry, I'm like, go and chill. Go do
Yeah.
what you need to do. You don't have to sit here.
And obviously our dynamic, like, you know, being in the same industry, in a relationship with, you know, and doing body, like we've all done preps, is kind of unique. Like I don't feel like majority of people that compete get that. Is there any advice that you guys could give to someone if their partner's prepping but they like have never done something like that before?
Ooh.
Or advice for either one of them?
You want to start?
I do think that it's important that regardless if you're the person that's in prep or you're the partner of someone, that you stay true to yourself. And although there's going to be changes in the household potentially, you still go through your day-to-day and you still do the activities you like, and you can find ways to come together and enjoy that time. I think that's a really big thing that people think they've got to change too much, rather than, you know, you're two independent people, you've got different goals. You definitely can have a dynamic relationship, and I think it's just kind of finding a good balance of that and being able to communicate what each other needs and when and where. And then if you're not in prep, okay, you need to be a little bit more understanding where some things might need to change, or you might need to be a little bit more supportive. If it's the other way around and you have to give back to your partner while you're in prep, okay, you got to go out of your way from time to time.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I feel like you nailed it quite well. I think one of the main things is just communication, right? Like ultimately being able to communicate your needs, and I think the partner who's not in prep to communicate their needs, and trying to essentially, you know, meet in the middle in that regard. I think the dynamic of us being coaches and athletes and both prepping is that we have a better understanding around what prep
Everything.
is, what's required
Yeah.
for us in terms of prep. And I think if you see your partner struggling, you can empathize with the struggles that they're going with, and I think, or going through. And I think for someone who is an athlete and their partner is not a competitor or a coach within that space, it can be really challenging to see your partner, I think, go through the hardships of prep, such as, you know, the changes to energy, the lack of lust or libido, you know, can be a big influence.
That's a massive thing lately.
Yeah.
That's happens quite a lot, especially with like couples that if they've never experienced it, and I think you should always take it away, like whether you're a guy or a girl, it happens on both sides of the coin. There'll be a time and the point that, like, you know, 10 weeks out for us is certainly a time that, you know, you might not have that physical connection, but just be respectful of it, because putting pressure on someone that's in prep that can't do it versus, you know, some people can turn it on, some people can turn it off, but it's like you should always be very, very, very open with that if you are in a prep and you are in a relationship, and just reiterate to your partner, like, you know, at this time, like, you know, there's no smashing, like like just don't touch me, because there'll be certain times in there and it was like people's like, oh, I don't know why they don't love me, and it's not that I don't love you, it's like my shit's broken right now, like don't fucking come near me. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Dick?
Yeah.
What dick?
Yeah. The closest connection that you're gonna get in between like that 10 to 8 week mark is a fucking hug or a high five.
Yeah.
Like,
There's different ways you can express love.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, you can easily fall into the trap of resenting the prep and thinking, you know, someone is changing as a result. They're not changing.
Yeah.
They're just inside that mentality.
They're in their
or
own little
experiencing
bubble.
those symptoms.
Yeah.
I think from a coach's perspective, it's probably our responsibility to communicate with our athletes the importance of communicating with their partner. Because I think not all athletes have that sort of they can't self-reflect, in which they can go, you know what, I notice I'm actually not interested in XYZ. Like I have no libido at this point in time, or not interested in spending that quality time with my partner. And I think from a partner perspective, they're probably looking at them going, you don't
what's
love me
happening?
anymore.
Yeah.
What's going
Yeah,
on here?
yeah.
And I think as the coach, you're trying to paint the picture of like, hey, you have your prep goggles on at this point in time. This is the person that you are. You have to remember that your partner sees you through their lens. And you need to communicate them in terms of what you're experiencing and the fact that this is just temporary. You know, eventually things will return back to normal again. It's just a matter of time. So if you can stick with this person through the hardships, of prep,
Because I tell you what, when they come out of that prep, oof. I actually just had it with one of my girls this season, and it was like their partner. It was like, I'll leave the names out, but they understand the process of it. And this person's quite active. I'm like, yeah, cool. And it's like, but they were just going with the flow for the sake of it. I'm like, that's good. But like, you had to like have a conversation, like, you know, it doesn't work, right? And it was like, oh. And then now that they're finished, they're like, can't even stop it. I'm like, yeah, fucking go for it, right? I told you she loved you. Like,
honeymoon phase again.
Yeah. Honeymoon's great. And it was
Nice.
like, you'll find some cool shit. But it was like, otherwise than the physical attraction, it was like always being there for your partner in that sense as well, because it's like they're going through some shit, whether a guy or a girl again, and it's like everyone goes through it different. I know, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be quite stark if you've like never, like as someone that's never done bodybuilding, has never seen it before, and like you've got a partner that's prepping for the first time and seeing them, as you said, like at the end of prep, low energy availability, it can be a lot to
Like, they look sexy as fuck when they're like that. Like, I'm telling you, I'm like, oh yeah, you look good, eh? Like, even when Wanda did it the last time, like, you know, she's not about it, and I'm sitting there like,
and I'm like
When you're ready, I'm ready.
Yeah. You fucking tell me, and I still remember doing like a hip thrust video. It was like, you know, mine's gonna be finished in like 6 weeks, and then she's like, It was like, it's gonna take a little bit longer, but like, you know, take your time.
and I'm like, I hate myself. I'm
Yeah. Yeah, but it was like the more you support your partners in those times, like they'll really capture it towards the end. It was like, fuck, you really helped me in that last bit. And
I
like,
think that builds like intimacy in your relationship,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
like you'll never experience, you know, what you do inside a prep with a partner and without being in those circumstances. You think of how much closer you get to someone, and
That's something I always say about our prep that we did together.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think it brought us closer.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
even-
definitely
quite-
did with us as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Definitely did.
Because you rely on other stuff to, you know,
I'm quite
Bond.
active.
and normal intimacy is not your intimacy in prep, so you build other ways.
Of course.
Yeah.
more brain and more what is not empath, but the more speaking.
Communication.
Yeah, communication. That's it. Like you're actually talking instead of like,
don't have
oh,
prep
well,
brain.
yeah. Like, oh, we smashed. Okay, now what? Like, oh, how was your day? I'm like, oh, that's gay. I don't fucking want to talk about that.
How do you guys find balance from like work life, being in a relationship, being in the same industry? How do you separate all the things? Do you separate all the things?
Well, I think the main thing is just setting some time aside for us ultimately. So like, for example, the last month or two with competitions, it's always a hectic time, right?
Yeah.
For like anyone who's in this space as a coach, like the two, season A, season B, those 2
couple
months are just
months,
hectic,
yeah.
right? It's like you guys put up a post being like, oh, it's the first weekend I've spent with each other for the last like month.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's kind of like.
This is the bit that needs to happen. It's like, hey, look, I love you, but I'll see you in 7 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. So I think for the other, you know, months within the calendar year, like putting time aside to spend that valuable time with each other is important. And even just for yourself as well. Like, you know, we all have hobbies that we potentially have outside of bodybuilding, and you sort of regain that interest back again to do those things. And I think by the end of the season, we're all probably quite tired from like just how hectic the back-to-back shows are. And sometimes it is nice at that point just to sort of sit back and reflect on the success of the season and have a bit of quiet time before then the next like season kicks off again. You know,
Take the time. That's all I can say, because we did, was it 8 weeks?
Of shows.
7 to 8 weeks of
Like,
shows, and that was like, I swear to God, it was like, we squished our calendar on purpose to like squish it down, but we were traveling every single weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was like
We were
show
in
Saturday,
different-
show Sunday, different states.
different states
Yeah.
for the 2 days of the
Yeah,
weekend.
It's
you did a lot of travel.
The
in
closest
season
thing
A.
you got was like, oh, cool, let's have some FaceTime. And then eventually there'd be some times like, I just don't fucking want to do anything today. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, I'll call you later.
Yeah.
And it's like understanding when to separate the two of like, I want to do something, but I just need to decompress everything. But it was like, even the Mondays were like a rest day. But it's like, while we're in prep as well, you still gotta walk, prep, do your updates, do all the other things. So it was like, pretty much like 8 weeks of straight work, like every day was something on.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like, yeah, having
Definitely.
that FaceTime is a really good thing because at least you can have like a little bit of a chat. Doesn't have to be long.
We're both gamers, right? So like our downtime is like spending an hour or two playing a game, switching off from the world for like 2 hours.
It's so
Like you in Skyrim.
yeah. Oh my god. Oh, I just got back onto that, and it's like I did like 3 days
Man,
of just straight on.
gaming in prep is one of the best possible distractions. Like unless you get frustrated, like
Yeah, you got to set
Me,
timers.
I'm an angry. I yell.
An
Yeah.
angry gamer.
I'm get the hell away from me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm in.
yeah,
I like to yell.
I just hate it when you lose too much time. So I've had to like start setting timers. Like, fuck, I actually have to eat something. But then it was like, oh, it's like 9:30. I'm like, fuck, I did no steps today. I'm like,
yeah.
no.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
Walk around. Here we go.
I guess that's one of the main things, right? Is if you spend too much time gaming, your NEAT levels are like non-existent.
Yeah, God.
Yeah.
You guys need to do a joint game because we've started another one.
No.
Like a
She's too
two-player.
slow.
What's it called? A Way Out? Yeah. A Way
Yeah,
Out
but
is
what
the
was
game.
the one that we really liked? What was that called?
Oh.
It was just for 2 people only to play.
It takes
Yeah,
It Takes Two?
yeah.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Is it a
Yeah.
computer game?
Yeah.
Like on a...
Like what did we play it on PlayStation?
PlayStation?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine
Oh,
just
okay.
gets TikTok time. I just get to work.
Yeah, see, I like my TikTok time.
Well, I mean, quite often we'll be doing separate things, but in the same room. And I think that still being in a close space is still,
Well, yes.
in a way,
Spending
like,
something because
Same,
we know
yeah,
what we
yeah.
know what we do because she'll love scrolling, but I'll like, well, if you're scrolling, I'm gonna put a movie on and I'm gonna program or do something because it's just easier.
For sure.
Or just like veg out. But if I start like,
Stop
she'll
it.
be like, fuck out of here, I'm going upstairs.
Segue. All right, moving on. Danny, we've got some questions for you.
Yep.
So obviously you work with Brandon,
Mm-hmm.
BK Conditioning. What drove you towards, working within BK Conditioning rather than doing your own thing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did originally start doing my own thing
Yeah.
upon, moving from personal training into the online coaching space. But I guess what drew me to firstly work with BK, I guess as more of an athlete, was seeing the standard of athletes that he brought to the stage. Like just it's when you sit at a show and you see competitors come out, there's like standouts, right? And like the standouts that I was seeing on stage were all Brandon's athletes. And I was like, there's a reason for this, right? So I think that's what initially drew me to start, coaching with BK. And then I think just by virtue of us building that friendship through coaching and me doing my own thing and having my own client successes, like I envisioned working with B for quite some time. And I think Brandon was in a similar sort of position, and it just took a conversation for us to then decide that, okay, this is actually potentially a viable direction for us moving forward. And I think collectively, the vision, I guess, within BK Conditioning is to branch beyond just Brandon as the sole entity of BK Conditioning, to create it as a company that represents more than just one person.
Yeah.
And I think there's strength in numbers, right? So I think for me, looking at Brandon as like an incredible mentor, someone that I look up to in the industry, and then him seeing me as this rising athlete and coach within the field, we just gel incredibly well.
Yeah, I don't think there could have been like a better pairing of you two. It's pretty cool.
Symbiosis.
That was a big word.
Yeah, there we go. I've been taking notes. Yeah,
Thesaurus.
the story.
He kind of answered that next question as well, so thanks. Moving on to Nicole. Nicole, you are a WMBF judge. Mm-hmm. Yes. What's it like being on the judging panel?
It's so cool. I love it. It's like a secondary sport in a way. Get a lot of fulfillment from it, and it has very much enabled me to grow my coaching eye, because of course I'm sitting there across all categories, and it's definitely helped me identify more things that I obviously need to work on with my clients, and also skills for me to work with clients that want to compete in different categories, including male categories, which I probably would not have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a very fulfilling kind of role that I've been able to fall into, and I'm very, very grateful for it. Of course, it's opened up a lot of travel, which is even more cool when you think about that like I just get to go and enjoy people getting on stage and having a ball at the end of the day. That's like, who else gets to really do that? Like, I get to live and breathe bodybuilding as a coach, as a competitor, and also seeing people enjoy it on stage, not only as a spectator. And then also helping them progress with their journey and obviously gain the goals that they want or the placing that they want to by giving them constructive feedback. So I love it, and very, very grateful to be a part of obviously that judging panel, and what opportunities there'll be in the future.
And where have you gotten to travel to as of recently?
So I went to Taiwan it's April now, so it was a little while ago. So that was absolutely fantastic. And I have judged at New Zealand, and I'll be back there again.
Did you both judge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was their second show for WMBF New Zealand, and a little bit smaller of a show. So I'm starting to have different experiences with different judging panels and different depths of competition. It's really nice to be able to see like region-specific differences as well, because there is a lot of differences between each country or each affiliate.
Yep. That's actually one of our questions. Like, what is some of the differences, like Taiwan versus here versus New Zealand?
Well, it's definitely a difference, I think, in regards to where the level of competition is at, based on maybe how long bodybuilding has been in one area or how popular it is. I think in Asia, it's definitely still emerging, but there is a lot of good talent there.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite there yet when it comes to maybe things like conditioning standard, as you might see in other regions. But there are some very, very muscular competitors that are very balanced, have great presentation and package. And I think it also comes down to the level of the coach inside that area as well. So if coaches are only experiencing what's happening within their region, not being aware of what's happening maybe at an international level or world level, then, you know, it's going to stay confined to that area. So being able to also be a judge that travels and gets to give feedback as to like, this is what we want, I think is really important for those areas too. So I think that's just an area, for example, that's going to keep growing and growing. And it's also really close proximity for Australian competitors to, you know, go over there and see what it's like to compete with different competition as well.
That was one of the coolest things about the WMBF Australia show for that first season, was just how like multicultural
actually
the competition was, and some of the standard of the men's physique athletes were wild.
It was actually it was a bit of like a seeing so many people come over for that one.
And it's cool. You actually get to see different genetic physiques show up and maybe a bit more suitable for different categories. So for example, like a lot of men in Asia do incredibly well with physique because, of course, you know, they're just almost like built for that.
Small
action figures.
Like small joint structures, beautifully painted abs, like the bubbly musculature, the cap delts, the full chest.
And for like newer competitors or people looking at what federations they want to compete in, what's it like competing with WMBF, and how is it maybe different to other federations?
I guess if I lean into my own experience, because I am a pro with WMBF since 2017, and I've been able to compete 3 times at their World Championships. I guess in a way it's something that provides unique opportunities. So if you truly want to expand and obviously set yourself up in a position where you can have different experiences and stand up on stage with different competitors, it is a fantastic federation to be able to do that. And I think more people in Australia need to go abroad and know that there are federations that will help you move into that direction if you want to. I definitely think it's becoming more emerging across all federations in Australia, but it's definitely one that is very prominent worldwide, and I think people don't realize how big some of the international affiliates are and what opportunities there are out there. So I think it's something that is going to keep rising and rising within Australia. So it'll be very cool to see where Australian bodybuilders can get to go in the future.
Especially with their 10-year rule. I love that.
Yeah.
They got like everyone's got good rules, but I still think I'm very big on the whole, like, you know, if you choose to be natty, you stay natty. There's been a lot of controversy over the last couple of years with different federations, and like there's lots of new ones popping up left, right, and center. It feels like there's a new federations for natural bodybuilding popping up everywhere. Everyone's like, well, we're the best. I'm like, well, you just fucking started, so take notes first. And it's sort of like, I think we need to keep branching out. Their drug testing system is quite immense as well. And it was like, you know, ICN still got like a 5-year. I believe the WMBF is 10 plus polys plus.
It's 10 years, and also your polygraph is only valid for every 6 weeks.
Oh,
Oh, how good.
Yeah.
So within a season,
you might have to do
potentially,
multiple.
yeah.
Very good.
Well, yeah, I think that's one of the bigger differences from WMBF.
And it's a daunting experience for everyone.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Which is good. It's good. I think it levels it out, because I remember my first year, I ended up competing against someone that was doing it, and they didn't win, but like you cheated, you still fucking lost. But like if you choose to play with that, go play in the other league, because you're taking it away from, like, you know, we're all die hard and we live it and breathe it, because the day that you did do it, you would notice it. Oh, ridiculous.
I feel like the WNBF can still receive scrutiny that the polygraph is like invalid or it doesn't hold. You know, you can cheat the polygraph and things like this. And I guess polygraphs itself are not used in the court of law, right? So
It's
could
more
you
of a
could you
deterrent.
well, that's it. You know, could you maybe try and cheat the system to pass the poly? Like, if you are, why? Like, there is
literally.
federations out there for you ultimately. You know, like, it's just people doing the dodge. And why risk that as well? Like, why risk going through a poly to
They're not shy. They publicly announce it. So
Yeah.
you're going to get your name blasted somewhere if you're doing the wrong thing. So,
Which is good.
you know, in a way, like, if you're wanting to compete in a test of sport, like, that's a great thing. You want to maybe like feel like you're doing that with other people that are also on the same level as you and have the same mindset. So, you know, hopefully we get to have more testing in the future across all natural feds.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I reckon it should almost be like a membership. Like it's like I don't know, they make like something that's easy to do piss tests or something, but it's sort of like, you know, you go every 2 months or something if you want to be registered and actual, you know, compete with something that can catch out the windows of oh, well, you know, you just cycle off. And I'm like, well, if you have to, why are you even here? Like,
Of course, absolutely.
You can fund that.
You can
I don't find that. You just make it part of the we already pay 100 what time a thing. And,
I won't start opening that can of worms.
It's not cheap. I do know that the
Well, why is
testing
it not
goes to all the
cheap?
way to WADA in the US, so it's a bit
should
hefty.
be awesome. Should be able to just have a place here, piss in the cup, cool. Like, you got swabbies on the side of the road, like, you know, here you go, you fucked up, you've got plan, or you got whatever.
I mean, if
see you
there are
later.
that many COVID tests out, shouldn't it be that?
Literally, you know, that's
Maybe we can
$5.
just change them. Like,
I'd love that.
All right, and as we just touched on, we had a massive season A of this year. So I thought we'd just kind of wrap that up. Any standouts? Go through who you guys had compete as well.
I mean, Jack was certainly a standout this season. I mean, for the guy to pull off a 4-week prep after an 8-week mini
Ridiculous.
cut is wild.
It's what dreams
Certainly-
are made of.
Certainly not everybody can do that.
No.
I mean, how long have you been prepping for so far?
Ages since March.
30 weeks, we're 16 and 14 weeks.
Yeah, I would be the same. My prep's going to be like 30 weeks, you know? So it's like, yeah.
Like, I would do it to get in a nice position, because there is a little bit of that lately. We've been in New South Wales, and like it seems to be the thing down there. Like, took 12 weeks for it to go. Like, they're just always in good condition.
Well, yeah, there's not many people that dedicate themselves like Jack does to
Oh God, no.
the lifestyle.
But I mean, even if you are, I don't even think, like, I do think dedication has a part in this. But
and
like,
freaky genetics.
I mean, yeah, but you can be dedicated, but still can't do a 4-week prep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that. So it's just, I think there are anomalies in the industry when it comes to like how lean you can hold your physique and be comfortable. Like, I can't perform well 4 kilos above stage weight. I have to perform well 12 kilos above
Yeah,
stage
yeah.
weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was definitely a standout in that regard. I mean, you guys had an incredible competitor, Tracy. She looked awesome.
Yeah, she was killing it. I think nearly everything she touched, she was cleaning.
She
Yeah.
got how many?
There's too many.
overalls?
Yeah,
too many.
I
But
think we did.
2 pro cards.
Yeah, we did ACT. She ended up putting a post out, and I was like, I think you missed a couple overalls. And she's like, yeah, these are the main ones. I'm like, no, do it properly.
put 'em
like
all up.
everyone,
Yeah,
fucking,
yeah.
I
Be
got a
proud of
big
that.
post coming out with her, and it was like I was nearly running out of room to put in the post. Because I'm like, not trying to big dig it, but I'm like, she did do a fucking solid work. I'm like, this woman was 2 years in. She's 40 plus. She got 2 kids. Full-time PT, mentors with me, does business coaching, does the works, right? Whatever you said, you get it done. I think I just did a share thing with, not many times that I've been able to warp someone so much in a competitive state in a short hour. Like this girl was pumping in, I think it was 3,900 calories in a matter of 5 hours, on top of getting rechecked in every 15 minutes, cool more. Like on top of that, plus pump up, plus go out on stage, do it again and not blow out, was like, it's like watching firework. I was like, fuck, this is sick.
Just
like,
churning.
Yeah,
through
I was
this
just
food.
like,
I'm
I'm
getting
through, like, you're nearly there, and everyone's like freaking out, like, what the fuck are these guys doing? Like, we're not pumping. She's just like muzzling through all this food, and then like people, like other competitors are like,
To
happening?
clarify, this was from fitness to sports at the Nationals.
Yeah,
show,
so she was fucking peeled, right? So she was in the cusp between. We're always just missing out on a few bits because she was either she had the muscle and she was just a smidge less conditioned, but she was very well balanced. So the sports was her jam. But as they started playing around with it more and more, you'd start seeing like do the homework on the stage, and we're like, because the like Nationals was totally something different, haven't seen before. So you had to sit there like watching and like, okay, second one, third, okay, I know what we're doing now, and you come back and everyone's like, it's not gonna work. I'm like, it fucking will. Like, we'll see. And if it doesn't, it's my fault anyway. But like, yeah, absolute worker.
I think there was so many standouts. It's kind of hard to.
I know. I'm
Yeah, it's
actually
hard
cycling
to-
through my head, and I wasn't present at ICN Nationals, so
I do think that
it was even harder.
is it Mads? The
I
girl?
was
Oh,
actually
no,
saying
Jesus,
that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I want to
Her-
see
her
that
physique
woman on.
was-
I
wanna
a
see her in
panel.
figure.
Yeah, she needs to be figure.
Yeah.
Oh, but did you see her in person?
No.
We see,
No,
I
it
was like, we were
I think because most people knew she was coming. I think, and when she was going, like when it was her division, I think we all kind of flocked out there.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
go have a look.
Yeah.
I had a couple of clients message me photos and be like, oh my God, goals. And I'm like, I'm going to give you my honest feedback. I think she should be figure.
yeah. Because we were at the Melbourne National Show, and you just seen this lady like just doing these kickbacks. I'm like, fuck, if she's in wellness, like we're screwed. Like, and it was like, hey, what are you in? And it was like, oh, I'm in the pro show. I'm like, fuck yeah, sweet. And then you see it come out. I'm like, I'm sitting there. I'm like, her legs are bigger than mine. Like, even her glutes were the same. Yeah, it was like, it's like looking at DC's ass. Like, and it was just like, holy shit. And it was like you'd be watching her and she'd be like, you fucking know, what are you looking at? It was like, fuck, you're a specimen, mate. Like, holy shit. She came out. She's went like, fuck. Poof. And I was like, just go sit down, guys. Like, she's, that is her. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And she's 21,
I think she's
20?
yeah, something
It's
like
been a
that.
little while since we've had someone come out in a season that's had that wow factor. Like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Like everywhere. Like, I think the whole room got shut down in the area, and then same thing in Nationals. Like, everyone's like, yeah, we're going again, and you just see a derobe. And I think Michael.
Is that a coach?
I think he coaches her.
Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah. And they're pumping up. I'm like, fucking hell, mate. And everyone's just like, there was real good camaraderie around it. It's not like, oh, well, I know I'm hot shit. Like, really well-rounded athlete, young person, has her head screwed on. It was pretty good.
Yeah. So she was certainly a standout there. Yeah. One of the main ones, hey.
I feel like the season's a bit of a blur.
Yeah,
It is a little-
I
there's
feel
too
like
many.
if we start listing them, we'll miss someone. But
Yeah.
you know, all the overalls, everyone that took out an overall across all the federations, like obviously.
I'm still salty about one thing, but it wasn't in Australia. So there was a juniors competitor in WMBF Taiwan. Absolutely amazing physique. She was the only competitor. She did not go and do opens. She would have won a pro card. I was so upset. I still don't know who she is. She will not listen to this. But
I wonder
Post her.
if that maybe she didn't know.
It's very likely. It does
Yeah.
happen, unfortunately, with a bit of the like you can't cross over into certain categories.
Yeah.
So sometimes not the best competitors go into opens and the other way around. So it is disappointing when you're on the panel and you're like, damn it, you should have entered the other one.
And that's the same as the WMBF here. Like you have to do the open to be to go into the overall.
Yes, and
Yeah.
to be eligible
Yeah.
for a card.
Yeah.
I think if you're ready for it, like as first timers, if you know you're a clear standout, and like that's probably like one of the biggest things now. You need to choose instead of like, you know, you did every division and you get to your overalls and you flop in there because you've used all your energy up. It's like you either know you're either coming to be an overall competitor in the opens and go for the, you know, the main takeout, or you're going to be novice or an amateur, you know, cleaning up in the divisions, winning all that side section from there. Not really ready for opens yet, but still want to give it a go.
But it is important to note that for national level or some of the federations, if you do want to be in the running for that, you have to enter that open class.
Yeah, literally. It was like, make sure to choose it, because I remember we were watching over the season, like some people were like, fuck, they're going to go good. Like we even had it with Tracy. She did a really big stamina at the first one, was going through, and we fell short at one of them because it was like, there's just so much going on. And then you'll find out like some competitors were like doing one or two and they didn't peak right in their open show, or you know they gamed it through and they made it to overalls but didn't even come close. Or I think it's very important to choose where your athlete is strong and where they're not, you know, play off the strengths. You know, if you're not unsure about you're not going to make it to opens, but you can take one or two chances over here to get put in the overalls. It's always something to play strategic with.
Yeah, well, Jack did that, didn't he? Or he chose...
Yeah, so I think at the Queensland show only did the opens.
Yeah, and I think the rationale was because it was a little bit further away from the overall.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he did, I think in bodybuilding it was the weight category, and then in classic it's just the opens.
Yeah.
And they were a little bit more spread apart, so he chose the weight category instead.
Yeah.
Whereas like you obviously can't do that at nationals because
Yeah.
you need to be in opens. To
Opens
do it.
is opens. That's the holy grail.
It's also really interesting how a lot of competitors will talk themselves out of going to opens, and then you have a really small opens class because everyone's doing flooding all the other divisions.
I think they
you
pressure.
should always like give it a go. Like at least that gives you an opportunity to see where you actually stand up.
100%.
Yeah.
Because especially I know I used to do like, I'll do I'm going to do all the divs. And then now I'm like, if it's not open, I don't fucking care now. Like all 30 plus or...
I think in my first season I did 8. I think I did
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
all of them.
Yeah,
that
she
I
did all of it. It was
But
like...
it's just the excitement of
Yeah,
wanting
it was a
to
bit of
get as
fun.
much
Might
stage
as well
time.
knock them out.
And I was not going to win,
Yeah.
but I was,
You were...
no, like I was going to.
You were
You
second.
have cash to spend.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know where it came from back
She was
then.
literally you were one step away. Like you had a pro that was in that lineup, which is I still find like
Don't.
I still get pissed off with like if you're a pro, you either are a pro or you're an amateur. You can't whether you jump down a division. Like I'm not a pro, so I can fucking say whatever I want. But you know, if you're like say if I was a pro in bodybuilding and I jumped down to classic, then you should relinquish your pro status, because I think you take that away from competitors that have never did it before. I've seen it happen on the weekends as, you know, other people that are not pros in the lineups, they win in an amateur lineup. You're a pro, like you just took that win, like trophy hunting, when, you know, that was for that person there. You had your time over here and chose to be a pro in that div and chose to jump down, or, you know, you see multiple pros going in physique and bodybuilding and this and like, fair enough, you can warp it, but it was like, I think that's something that needs to be put across the states as well now, because it's sort of like that's like a brand new rookie coming up as a up and comer, and I'll just jump down, I'll take this trophy as for the win, you know, head hunting for.
I think
100%. Well, it's like, for
a tough
example,
one.
with the IFBB, like if you win a pro card in IFBB, you are a pro across all. Like if, let's say, for example, I won my pro card in men's physique, and then I wanted to move up into the opens in bodybuilding, I would
have to
still
compete as
hold
a
my
pro.
I would still hold my
this
pro
is
status,
worked
which I
well
think is
for some.
interesting. Yeah.
An example is Erin Stone. She was a figure pro, and she had a long period where she didn't compete. And, you know, old standards for figure, very different to what it is now. She competes as a bikini pro, and she's fitting for the criteria now.
Yeah. So
I think if you want to play around with it, you know, keep it at, you're still at that pro level, but it's like once you go pro, like that's it. You should only be allowed to enter in pro.
Yeah, I
pro
think there's
debuts.
potentially pros and cons with both, right? Because like someone might win their pro card in men's fitness, and then if they held that pro card and they stepped straight up into the bodybuilding stage the next year, they might not have the mass to be, you know.
Oh, 100%.
a
But
pro
then
in
it's like
bodybuilding,
you
but
would know like this is not your div.
Yeah.
Like go back to where you
probably
were.
unlikely to do it anyway because you're like, I'm not going to suit the criteria.
Oh
just
God
yet,
no,
you know?
God no.
Yeah.
But that I think it keeps it in a nice genre.
Yeah.
I think it keeps people inside the federation though, because it gives opportunities and enticement to stay within there, knowing that they might have other opportunities as their physique changes or grows or their goals change. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I didn't even get a chance to do fitness. I think I did fitness once for shits and giggles. And so I was like, this is the only time you'll ever get it done. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And it was like, you're a bodybuilder. I was like, I don't want to be a bodybuilder. I want to be classic or I want to be muscle model. And then they took muscle model away and then, you know.
Is muscle model the one with the G?
That was so much fun. No,
That was
Muscle Model was
streetwear.
like the big version of fitness. It was like, no matter what we did, when that was on at a show, like you just had to fucking go. It wasn't about how peeled you were. It was like just fucking mass monsters. Everyone was just like...
It was it's in their little
Little
budgies.
their little shorts.
Yeah.
Picture a fitness competitor, but in bodybuilding. It was,
Did
it
you
was,
not?
right.
Did
it
you
was
not see
awesome.
it, Muscle Model?
It was so much fun. It was like
wonder
every
when-
time you'd go, it would be like
I wonder when the last show was that had it.
2019.
Oh, I don't even
when
remember.
they took it away.
Oh, I was competing there and I mustn't have paid attention.
Maybe I saw it and I was like, this guy fitness? He's not suited for this.
Yeah. You're like, what's happening?
Yeah, they like cussed.
This guy needs to step into bodybuilding.
Yeah,
What's going on here? Yeah.
Guys, we are chatting a lot.
We are. We love it. Keep going.
Love a yarn.
I really like this next question.
Punch the baby.
How do you both, or how do we all, compare the feeling of being on stage versus seeing our clients on stage?
Oh fuck.
I think they're two very unique feelings. But I absolutely adore seeing my clients on stage.
Agreed.
It's like a proud parent
And,
in a way.
and like
you know
you
what
kind
I mean?
of
It's
know,
like that feeling.
you
Like,
kind of know what they're experiencing, and you're like,
yeah.
You've just been waiting for them to
Yeah.
fall in love.
Yeah.
Like,
You get-
I've been telling you this for months.
Yeah,
They're like nervous and shit. And they come back off and like, I feel like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, yeah, cool. Fucking pack that up. Let's do it again. Like, you know, you get like a froth.
yeah.
I feel like my adrenaline kicks in hard when I see them on because like when I'm on stage, I don't even care. Like I don't even care about the placings once I'm on. They're like, oh, what if you don't win? I'm like, who gives a fuck? Like, like, it's a whole different sport. And then when you're on the other side of it, I'm sitting there like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
come on, let's go.
More
Like,
nervous to actually watch your competitor up there than what
far
you're
out.
up there
She's like,
yourself.
It's almost like you're like up there with them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of like yelling at them, you just go up there and like mold them.
Yeah. You need
I have-
more of this.
I have been behind the judges and I'm like,
Yeah.
do this.
Turn it on.
I had to stop yelling because I realized after a couple of seasons my clients can't hear me because I talk too quiet anyway. And then if I'm not doing that, I'm sitting there too nervous, being like, oh my god, I hope they have a good time.
I started getting into. I'd get like the sign language going. I don't tell them what they're doing, right? But
Oh my
before
God.
they go on, I'll be like, if you see this or you see like you're like vibing, it'll be like I can just see you. I'm like, you'll fucking hear me. Trust me. Like boom, and like switch up, down, or like
They're like Jono's cutting shapes.
yeah.
So I actually, luckily, I experienced this before Jono like started having multiple clients on stage because I was like, mate, I did not know what this meant. Like you're trying to direct a plane in, and I'm on stage like, what does that mean?
Why?
We need to get
Why?
you little
Never really
flags
caught a
and you
turn.
can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Looking at
Well,
Jono
like,
like,
as I started picking it up, I was like, oh, I should probably tell you what it means,
Yeah.
right? And it was like, if you go like this, means like open your back.
Open your laps.
Like
I was
open
like,
your lap. Open your
oh.
lap.
I don't know, my moment
Yeah.
I thought of you doing that with them facing
Yeah,
the
yeah,
rear.
yeah.
I'm
And
like,
they,
they
they're
can't see.
looking. They look at you, and I'm going like this, or I'll go like this, or like this is like trying to turn
Try
their
and turn,
shoulders.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, just. But those little bits and pieces, everyone's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, if
They know.
your client heard you, they probably would have got a better spot. But you chose to sit there
Yeah.
and think you were fucking top shit.
B
You could've
always,
helped them, or-
B always gives me shit because I'll like bellow for the first person that's out there, just like roar at them to like cheering them, and then for the rest of the day, I have no voice.
Yeah, go on.
Like I can do it once, and
Yeah.
then that's like it.
Depends if they need a foom. I get the boot camp going on. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Vince be like, shut up, bro. Like,
I think this season I cried backstage actually.
Yeah.
Didn't I? Yeah.
oh.
Because like the girls that I had this season, they gave me so much joy and fulfillment, and like that sense of this is where I need to be. This is the these are my people. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I have had that in previous seasons, but I think just because I had clients that really aligned with my principles and my coaching, it just made it even that more fulfilling. So
I think you get that every season. Like you get that, okay, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah. I think last year for me was big. Both seasons, I was like, yeah, right. Like I'm a bit more confident now, and like, that was good.
Absolutely.
I love
But what about when you guys are on stage though? Completely different.
It is, yeah.
I don't know about
No
you.
one can stop me when I'm in there.
Yeah,
That's all I
in the
have.
moment, yeah.
Just have fun with it. No
I
one,
always describe it as like an out of body experience. I feel like when you've practiced so much in your off season and your contest prep, when I get out on stage, it's like I'm not in control of myself. It's like it's almost like this. I'm viewing myself from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing the do, and then I'll walk off stage and I'll be like, holy shit, just did that.
That
Like,
just happened.
That just happened.
What? Wait, what happened?
Yeah. But I find that the stage time itself goes like this, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's so quick, and then it makes the season feel like it's gone immensely quick as well. And I feel like one thing that we're probably always reiterating to our athletes is just to try and like relish in the moment, right? Just like embrace all aspects of prep, like the good days, the hard days, being up on stage, like take it all in. The fact that you're up on there, like looking at everybody's looking at you, like, because that it can go like this, right?
Oh, yeah. And especially like there's so many people that could have made it to that show or made it to that stage, but they didn't, and you did.
It can be a surreal experience.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Froth it every single time. I never take it for granted because it was like, it could be one day that like we don't get to do it. And, like we've all did it through COVID, you know, we're prepping for shows and the shows get cancelled and like, fuck. And it was like, you can either, you know, fucking, or you can, you know, continue on and keep doing it. But it's like, that's like it. It's like superpower.
When you get off stage, you have that moment of like, this sport is for me or it's not, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, once you jump off that stage, you're like, man, I can't wait to get back on there.
Yeah.
Like, give me another off season. I'm going to build. I'm going to come back even better. You know, that's like that it's that deciding factor. And I feel like until you actually get up on stage and you experience the prep, you then decide whether, okay, I'm going to do this again. Or like, you know what, this wasn't.
It's a good experience or a bad experience. And I think we always want to make sure everyone has a good experience. But when the people that have a bad one, you either had the wrong intentions or doing it for the gram, or, you know, someone dragged you to the goal when you should have been benched. Or
I actually distinctly remember like my first time on stage and I was like, let's do this next division. Like, holy shit, that was the best thing I've ever done. Yeah. But then contrast, like the last one, it was a bit of pressure.
yeah, that was hard. That was like, it was like you fucked us up. Like you're sitting at seconds and thirds. Like, you want to be a winner or you want to keep coming second? Like, push harder. Like, but then knowing when to do that, because you can do that and fuck someone up.
But still, it was like I knew what I was doing. Like there was no way I was like going to put a foot wrong, and it was just like autopilot when I got on stage.
I think it's why the first show you always do so many off the bat, because then it's sort of like if you just do one, you don't really find that groove. After the second and third, you find yourself like, oh yeah, I know what's going. 100%.
I remember being so giddy though, like in the curtains off of my first season, and then the last one I was like just like locked in. I think there's a shot that Brandon has, and I'm like don't walk in my eyesight because you might get chopped in half.
Yeah.
I had that for the overall.
Yeah, well,
I think everybody everybody that was in the overall with me were all like, "Let's go, boys!" Like, and like hitting fists and stuff. And I was just like, I was just staring at the stage. I'm like, nah, this.
You know how girls like, or competitors, I know it's a girl thing. They're like, oh, this girl's competing against me. Blah blah. I had no idea who was standing beside me.
I don't remember anyone.
That's the best way to do it though, because it was like, you always want to have good camaraderie, and I always get bit with this in the ass because it's like, you know, hyping everyone up. And I'm like, you know what? Next time it happens, you'll get one hype up, but that's it. Like, if you get stuck in a hole. I remember, who was it? We were at Nationals. Cookie. Yeah. I was like, and I was like, brother, you want that cookie? I'll go get you that fucking cookie. You want to finish it? You want to eat this cookie and, you know, ruin the prep that you just did? Like, fucking shut up and eat it, or like you bring the whole team down, and then like gave him like a good kick in the ass. Fucking got him through, and he beat me in one place in. I was like, you know what? That's your only rookie card you get, because next time we'll leave you in the hole. But it was like passing that camaraderie. I like camaraderie, but it was like if you continually hype up everyone in the division, you're making it harder for yourself. And I never get that. And I'm like, I actually understand, because even people will be like, "What are you doing?" You know, like, I understand now. I'll shut up.
Yeah.
But it's like you just can't help it.
And it's not like
want to.
it's not like, you know, for example, Mon, like you're not trying to be rude to anyone by like not paying attention to them as you're about to get on stage. It's just
it's
Just
competitiveness.
obvious. Like,
Yeah.
you're
It's
just
not that I wasn't
ready to do it.
It's
like,
not that I was like ignoring what, like I was still
No, you just
interacting with the
focus.
girls.
Yeah, but it's like you're in the zone. It was like
But
we
yeah.
are versing each other here.
I didn't know.
Like,
I didn't know
I
what
love
they
you.
looked like. I didn't know how I stacked up against them. Like I was going out to put my best on stage.
and I think everybody just has a different required level of arousal, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think some people can be a little bit more like, not
Loosey-goosey.
blasé, but yeah, just a little bit more kind of relaxed and like, and chill about it. I think other people, like I find myself, there's probably a moment backstage where I just need to like, people trying to talk to me. I'm like, just let me do my thing for a little bit. I need to get my head where it needs to be to jump up on stage. Whereas others can be like, they need to constantly be talking to someone to maybe to get rid of those nerves. For me, getting rid of the nerves is like creating silence in myself.
I don't even hear the music. I'm that in my head and like, yep, let's go. This is that. I'm here. I'm that. It's
I just always
like
keep my
everything
tongue
else
out.
is blurred.
Yeah,
Jason's always
your
like,
tongue in your mouth.
Jono, what are you chewing on? And I'm like, nothing. like stop doing that, bro. Like it's like
That was like Poppy.
yeah.
Always has her tongue out in every shot.
Every shot.
Yeah, I
It's
do remember that actually. Yeah.
it's an off tap thing,
Put
you know.
your tongue in your mouth, Poppy.
Fuck's sake.
All right, let's open some brain questions. Is it harder, in your opinion, is it harder for males or females to prep?
It's a good question. Yeah. So I think if we look at, for example, figure and men's bodybuilding, or even let's say, for example, women's bodybuilding and men's bodybuilding, at the very leanest, like at, you know, when you are essentially stage peeled on up there, body fat percentages are relatively similar between the two.
Yeah.
So there's no genetic, you know, differences in terms of fat mass when you're up on stage. However, women do sit at a higher body fat percentage, you know, in their off season. So I personally think that as a female, it's harder to prep than a male, particularly for some of the more muscular categories.
Yeah.
Because of, you know, an understanding of women holding higher body fat percentages, but also considering additional fat mass around the chest as an example. So, you know, it's just longer duration to diet. But I think there is some really sound literature on women are generally more robust at holding on to lean tissue throughout a contest prep. So,
I do like prepping girls more than guys. Don't know why. It's like I haven't had many guys, but like the guys that we do prep, it's like they just seem to like you either make it or you break. Like they're just not ready. Like girls, like I don't know, you just say something and it's just fucking clicked in. Like I'm like, oh, you can either do it this way or that way. But if you want to be really good, go this way. If you want to do this, do this way. Like there's no. Sometimes some of the girls are a little bit, you know, they're not really ready to do it yet, but they're telling you they are. But then you get some that are just like savage. It's like, yep, I can do that. And it's like.
Is there like research in like females? It's just harder. Like it is harder for females to get that lean.
Well, you got less testosterone for one.
Well, I think it's just by virtue of perhaps less total calories consumed.
Yeah.
Lower body weights.
Yeah.
Higher body fat.
Higher body fat to
like
begin with.
from
So just
point
as,
A to
as, a,
point
as a
B.
result, from
Yeah.
point A to point B, we've got duration, we've got timeline, we've got someone who's starting on less total calories as well.
Like, do they actually have the muscle to support what they're about to do as well? Like, that's always a big indication for, like, most females coming in, like, you think you're big, and we're like, okay, I understand that you think you're big, but we're not. We're not as big as you think you are. Like, once the fat goes out of the way, you're going to be too big, right? So it's reiterating that if they're going to do bodybuilding a figure, like, you need to make sure that you have the muscle demand to be able to do that bit.
Yeah. And potentially even the impact upon menstrual cycle during contest prep as well. I mean, towards the tail end, or I guess for each female, it's individual, it's bespoken and different here. But, you know, loss of menstrual cycle does occur through a state of low energy availability and low body fat, right? So
It's so interesting though how variable that is though across all different females.
Yeah.
Like some girls,
Some get
lose
really
it-
strong, yeah.
lose it for months, whereas some females can get just as lean, but they'll have it like all the way
Yeah.
up to show.
Yeah, well,
I think
you kept your menstrual cycle for majority of, well,
I know
pretty much the
the
whole,
whole-
of
the whole-
prep. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did.
Yeah,
same.
so
Most of
I'm-
our team this year did it, but it was like some would show it like it's good for it to, you know, be around, but it's also good for it to not show up on show day. I think 2 out of most of the shows, the whole team got one on the second show, and I was like, you can't fix it. And it was like, hey, you're just gonna have to knuckle it, but then they go harder next week and they might lose it. But as long as it's timed and it's sort of like it's gonna come back here, or this is what we've got to do to get that back, or
We've spoken about this though. Like it's not like the symptoms aren't really gonna show if you're like stage length.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's all a mental. Like,
Yeah.
Like if you're not conditioned,
gotta
yeah,
kind
you
of,
might get a little bit of something. But if you are conditioned, it's not really going to change much.
Yeah. But interestingly, I personally lose mine. Like my body gets a whiff of dieting and it's like, bye.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had that in previous preps, but then my starting position was a lot leaner and my calories weren't in a similar position. Plus, also, I hadn't been in a building phase for a long period of time and I was doing consecutive years. So I
Yeah.
didn't have that recoverability
Yeah,
between seasons.
Yeah.
Whereas between my last prep just been and obviously that prep where I kept it, obviously had a period of time and now I've had 3 years. So I don't...
Period.
Don't expect that to be the case, but I do question whether, without obviously I've never worked with male competitors, but I do wonder if it is easier or harder for males or females based on a emotional attachment obviously to dieting, and obviously with that, you know, holding adherence and things, and whether that I mean, obviously it's going to be person dependent as well. So it's really hard to know whether it's easier for men and women to diet too.
I think it just depends on their mind frame, because it was like guys can certainly. I know my first time getting super pure, that fucking hurt. But like this time around, I'm like, you can take more. Like,
Let's go.
yeah.
This is quite a broad question, but potentially helpful for people that, you know, up and coming, like preparing for a prep. How long do we think people actually need to be able to compete? Like how long, I guess, prep, or maybe thinking before the prep?
Are we talking like actual progression to like actually do really good, or you just
I think just like general, let's just have a bit of a discussion around that
18
question.
months minimum. Like you need at least a year down to be actually like to even have muscle build, get good routine, be able to be withstanding what you're about to put your body through as one, minus, you know, the mental mind frame that has to come through, and then making sure nutritional literacy is even close to being where it should be, like minimum, you know, in a fed state for over at least 12 months minimum to just see what they can actually do, and then maintaining a good mind frame of, you know, can you follow the rules? Can you stick to the adherence? Can you track? Are we in a trust of, I believe what you're saying to me, or am I like, you know, you just telling me what I want to hear because the data won't lie? Or...
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like we all love that athlete that comes across the desk that gives you time to be able to establish an off season firstly before jumping straight into a contest prep, right? So someone who's like, hey, I'd love to work with you for a year off season before we prep for 6 months to, you know, season X. To me, that's like the ultimate best scenario, because it's like, great, I've got time now to build the appropriate habits within you to create a successful sound foundation for us to then contest prep upon. For someone who, you know, contacts and when they jump straight into a contest prep, it is a little bit of a, you know,
Person dependent.
spaghetti.
Yeah, like you could have an individual that has fantastic nutritional literacy,
Great muscle, like the
great muscle, all those sorts of things.
living
but
the lifestyle.
Yeah, but then on the flip side, they may not have, maybe they're just not coachable yet in terms of the nutritional front. So it's like you see all different warps, you know, when it comes to that sort of
So
stuff.
many
And
like boxes that, you know, could be
I know,
green,
like-
amber, red, like
Yeah.
there's so many variables.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's difficult upon an initial conversation to truly find out where someone is at. And as
Absolutely.
much as we try and quiz and ask the appropriate
Yeah.
questions to find out where someone is at with their training and nutrition,
Yeah.
the actions always speaks louder.
Oh
than
yeah.
the words, right?
You
Yeah.
can tell me everything under the sun, but I'm like,
Definitely seen that before.
Full of shit.
I'm like having a conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, you're pretty, like, you've got things under the control. Like, I reckon we can start, and then we like get into coaching, and I'm like, oh,
And the cracks happen.
there's a
The
little
pressure
bit
comes
of
on.
work.
Ah,
Yeah.
there
And
it
it's
is. So
probably-
this is the problem.
And it's probably not even from the perspective of like sabotage or anything like that, or
No,
even
it's just not-
conscious. It's just
yeah.
maybe perhaps that person is
knowing.
just
Yeah.
not aware of what's required. to
There-
be-
on a rare occasion, there is also people that on paper they look like they're in the perfect position to do it, and then you look at it like, oh, I can't wait to get you on stage, you're ready, but they're not quite there yet, and or they can't see it, so they don't see their own potential, and what they are maybe doing that is putting them back a little bit from that goal. And that's also a time component. You can't rush that either. So
I think the more time you give, the better you get out of it. Because it was like, especially if you're going to step on, like, I want to be competitive. I'm like, you got at least 2 years or...
That's a good point. It also comes down to what your expectation is of the prep, and
If you've set it, if you set it
what you
really
want to
high,
achieve.
you want to go bang it out with all of us at the table. Fair enough,
Let's
but
go.
you're not, unless you've got like that genetic start already, and you have no clue what's coming for you. You don't know what you're like in a dieting phase where it's like you can't go outside of these windows, or can't just go have that burger because you feel like it, or
Yeah, one thing I'm really passionate about, and I think does get spoken about, but I'm not sure people actually take in, is that you really do need to give your coach a bit of time before you start a prep. Like, it's not just your 20 to 30 week prep.
and most of the time,
if-
some people don't need the 30 or 20. You could be someone that works really good to 16 to 20, but it's
Yeah.
like you're not going to find out none of this if you don't do the data collection. And
But yeah, if you're like you're first time competitor, you're thinking about it, like really make sure you can give the time to
you
a
need 6
coach.
months to a year
Yeah.
to mentally process what
Yeah.
you're getting into. Yeah.
You need to be able. I think it's always sat with me. I remember, like, I've sort of modeled a little bit because I've always watched so many different coaches. But Joey's like thing is like, it's a minimum 2 years if you want to do something really good, because 6 months of that we got to fucking at least put something together. 1 year of that you're probably going to kick ass and take names. The other 6 months is dieting. So it was like, in a small turnover, well, you give me the first 18 months, and then the last 6 is the gun ho ready go. Like, but it was like modeling in a way of like, if the person has immense vision and they can stay onto it for through 2 or 3 years, but I'm like, you could do 2 or 3 years and fucking hate it when you get to the end and you're like, oh, I'll never do it again. Or you can get your feet wet. Okay, cool. This is good jam jellies. All right, plan, bang. And that's what will turn it into a thing, because I think a lot of misconception right now is I'll do a show and I'll get clients, or they did one show, they have no fucking clue, didn't even do good, and it was like, oh, well, I can coach you in a prep because I've did it. And it was like, no, I'm going to go to the person before you. It's like someone coming to me, they're like, oh, I want to do what you did. I'm like, well, you need to go to B, but it was like, I'm not going to recommend you can't even fucking diet, like, let alone. But like referring it onto that space, like same thing, like Tracy's got people that will come to me because that's what it's reverting up. It's not the person that will get it, but the background of the community is now shifting from, well, that person won, so they know what they're doing. And it's like, no, it's not them. People are actually referring them up to go to other people, the person that actually is going to bring you to that point versus, oh, well, I can do it because that's what the pool is now getting like cleared out. Like coaches are actually starting to draw that line in between, like, you're an athlete. You're not an athlete coach, or you're a coach, you're not an athlete, or like, oh, I want to do all 3 of them. Yeah, you can do all 3 of them, but you got to be able to, put the yards in, put everything that's going to support that, because the ones that are coming in are fucking it up. Because it's sort of like, people won't do bodybuilding. Oh, I've had a coach before. I'm like, you've had something. You haven't had us, or you haven't been in the level of where we all go with it,
I think the problem, like you're saying, it lies in that everyone knows that to bodybuild or competitive bodybuild, you need to do a prep. It's everything else that people don't understand. That's the time in which you're actually being the athlete and being the bodybuilder. That's where you need the coaching assistance. But it doesn't sound as sexy. And
Yeah, it does,
no one wants to do that. But also, I don't think people understand the value in that level of coaching, because they look at it that, oh, well, what am I getting out of that? There's not as much reward because they don't see the instant gratification, or they don't feel like they're putting their money towards something that's going to provide more value. So I think that in itself also draws people to thinking, I only need this amount of time, and that's what I can feasibly manage, or maybe what I can commit to, rather than a long term.
One of the things that I admire so much about competitive swimmers, let's say, for example, swimmers at the Olympic level, these guys and girls are wanting to shave off the smallest amount of milliseconds from their time between races or between years, right? So I might compete. I might train for 4 years for the Olympics to shave off milliseconds from a 100-meter freestyle time, and it could be milliseconds separating first and second place. So I mean, if that's the case, you can't tell me that the tracked meal on Fridays or the untracked meal on Fridays or the drinking out on weekends or like these things don't count when it comes to that small percentage. And I think if we apply the same logic to something like bodybuilding, it makes us realize that like the off season is so immensely important, right? Like I feel like that's where so much of the value lies to one's potential, you know, because unless you are a genetic freak and can walk up on stage and have minimal time training and hold that degree of musculature, and it's just the 6-month prep that executes that, not everybody's in that position. And you can only kind of almost milk that once, you know, because you get up on stage, you do well, and then you need to come back and grow and be even better. So
especially how we're evolving every year. It's like it's pushed again, and I'll come in like I did last year. Like you're already behind, like it's already 2 levels up. And guys, girls. Yeah.
And I think one thing with federations becoming more united from an international standpoint, like seeing, for example, you know, WMBF and like Lawrence went over and competed, you know, at Worlds as an example, and some of his feedback on the fact that you're standing back there with 100 competitors, and you can even vouch on this as well. It's like it makes you realize that the gene pool is damn deep, you know, in the sport, and there's levels to this. And it's like, how far do you want to take this? And I feel like as the coach, it's having some challenging and honest conversations with athletes around where do your goals lie, and if your behaviors are aligning directly with those goals. If you want to stand up on the world stage and come first in an open class, then you need to be willing to do the 1%ers that nobody else is willing to do in their off season.
That's the biggest takeaway too. It was like, are you doing an off season? Like you can say all you want and I really want to get it, but the action doesn't meet to the thing. And it was like, it was just one day. Well, let's look at the calendar real quick. We've had 52 days off this year. That's the difference between you winning or losing, or coming second or first, or, you know, I like that.
Yeah. People kind of dissociate competitive bodybuilding from other sports, where it should be in the same playing field. Like it should be, you're not just in season, you know, this period of the time, maybe every couple of years. Everything that you do from start to finish, you're practicing for that next game.
Yep.
So it should apply in the same way.
So I know I definitely didn't drink as much as I did this off season.
I was going to say, just at me next to that.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to make some lifestyle gains along the way, right? Like,
but like you could do the first ever time, you couldn't stop me drinking. And I was like, hey, maybe you should stop drinking. Okay, stop drinking. And I got a really good result. It's like, magic. So you don't do as much damage as you do in the off season as you would in season, and it'd be, you know, it's a good trade off. But you know, every now and then, instead of like sinking the entire bar, you're like, I'll have 1 or 2 beers, and it, like, just that alone is,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, time is one of the most valuable commodities in bodybuilding, right? So like, if someone has that all-in approach within the off season, so much so that they don't enjoy a meal out, they don't create any sort of lifestyle gains along the way, that in a way may be more optimal on paper, but if it results in a more quick burnout in the sport and they leave the sport early because they're just like, you know what, this is too much of a sacrifice, maybe their longevity and their optimality in the sport would have been greater if they'd dialed it back to like 90%, but held that for another 3, 4, 5, 6 years in the sport. That's the way I look at it when it comes to, I guess, longevity, sort of balancing that practicality with optimality and feasibility when it comes to one's off season.
Switching from athletes over to coaches, what do we think is the best way for any up and coming coaches that want to get into the comp prep space, and what are some considerations that they should make?
I'd certainly say in the biggest bit, like I'm a big believer of this, and I do think that you need to earn your stripes before you can start coming to, you know, swim in the waters with the big kids. And it's like, it's not to be rude or take away from everyone. I know heaps of people that have been, you know, really good coaches in the textbook game, and they have no fucking clue what's personable, what's coming into it, or what they actually have to do to reiterate. It was like, well, this is what the textbook was saying. It's like, this is the fucking real world, mate. This is not going to work here. Everyone's individualized, and I think the biggest key bit is to don't rush it. There's so many coaches that have rushed it, and I've fixed hundreds of people over the many of the years, and like even within the sport of where we are, like they're fucked because someone took them on too early. This person just got their fucking nutrition certs and they think they're the king of the world, and they're still competing under another coach, and you're not even giving that all to that one person. Like my first time, I ended up taking 2 years watching, learning, sitting in classes, going to seminars, like SNAs, comp prep, you name it. I fucking did it all, and I earned my stripes, and I did it through, and I got someone that let me do it and did it right. There's some times that I've did it with people and they're just not ready for it, and being able to take that hard conversation and say, look, you're just not fucking ready, instead of get them to the end of the show for no reason, and it was like put them on the stage and they had the most horrible time, and all you're going to get wind of is it's your fucking fault. And I think the biggest thing is that if you're unsure and you're open, and the person is, you're trying to come into our game, everyone thinks it's super easy. We can do it too. Remember, we've been in this game. I've been doing this since 2012. I've been competing since 2016, flat stick. Like I have not missed certain realms of time, and we're in 2024 now. So do the math through there. My coaching's nearly over a decade. And even then I'm still constantly learning. Just because I can get a competitor to win, or we can get people to stage and make them look at the best, it's cool. Now you did that, and as everything's evolving, still upskilling, still learning different pathways, different protocols. And I think the biggest thing that you need to take away is that you are dealing with humans as well. You need to be personable. Just because you've seen how your coach does it with you does not think it's going to happen with them. And I think the biggest takeaway is that you need to earn the time and earn the rep. You're not going to get it like that. And as much as you think it's going to happen that way, people are always watching. They're watching what you're doing with people. And we're in I don't know how many seasons we're in now, but it was like we've just started getting a good roll of people because we took our time instead of making. If you're going to do a big team, take fucking time and put the yards in as everyone is equal. No one person is better, whether you're a pro athlete or a beginner. You're all the same. Like, don't do that hierarchy as you do that within your own teams. I think that's the biggest bit, is young people coming in, or older people, whoever, fresh into the bodybuilding game, taking on too much so they can't keep it up, that you give us all a bad name. And I'm a very big speaker on, like, if one coach does it, we're all going to wear it. And that's what splits the pool. They're like, oh, I've did it before, I'll stick CrossFit or do whatever. And it was like, no, they need to keep a good foundation of, like, these are coaches that are well done in the industry. If you want to earn to get to this level here, we have a tiered system. You don't have to, like, who's the best or whatever, but it's sort of like, I think that's what they're bringing in this year, is like everyone with like SNAs, or, you've got your diplomas or comp prep certs and all that. Like, these are certified fucking people that know their shit in the industry. And I think they need to put that, because there's a pool right now that is us as higher uppers in our fields, with brand new people thinking it's the same. And it's like, we're not on the same level as much as you might think it is. It's not. Like, there is a time limit that we need to be able to allow these guys. Yeah, you'll come into this field, but, like, it's like me running down the bus with a Nico pen and expecting everyone to sign a piece of paper. But it's
I think and the strategy to essentially, like, bridge that gap, I think one of them is mentorship, right? So being mentored from the right people, spending time learning, and, like you said, never stop learning, essentially. Like, we're all here to master our craft, but we're always a student, and that will probably never change. And I think the moment it does, you stop yourself from learning. Like, one of the most exciting aspects of what we do is the fact that it's still so much to learn, right? When it comes down to contest prepping an individual that you've never worked with before, or learning a new, bit of research that you can then apply to your athletes in the field. Like, this is all, this stuff is exciting for us, you know what I mean? But I think ultimately mentorship is such a valuable tool. And I think even reflecting back on my sort of youth coming up within the field, I acknowledge the importance of mentorship, and I've had multiple mentors along the way that have helped to get me to where I am today. And I think if I'd gone down the path of wanting to do it all myself, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know how you're supposed to learn everything that goes into comp prep coaching without
You've got to leave your
learning,
ego at the door.
Learning from other people.
The only thing I think that Jono tapped on as well is that it takes time to learn how to work with different individuals and find the client that works best for you, and you work best for them. So that in itself
That's a
might
great
mean
point.
like years of being able to find that and narrow down who you want to work with, what enjoyment you also get out of as a coach too, because that's also important.
Massive, yeah, great point. I think maturing as a coach is realizing that you can't work with every single person.
Oh god, yeah. Like you, even though you want to help everyone. I think I learned this early in my career and was like, I wanted to help everyone, and then just some people, they're just not going to get it, and
Or
they're
it's
not even going to like you.
It's not going to
or-
mesh with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're just not going to mesh. And I was like,
and that's not an issue.
yeah,
They'll be
and it
a
just
coach.
means that's the most professional thing you could do is refer on to someone. Like, look, I don't think it's going to work. Like, go see these guys here, or happily do whatever. But it was like, right here is not. It's not going to mesh. And I think that's the coolest bit of like being able to like work with heaps of coaches in the industry, and like who they're gonna. You know what you need. You need DC, or you need to go see Nick, or you need to go see Mon. Like you can refer that, and that creates good leveling.
You can't be that person that steps in the space and be like, yep, I'm in, I'm better than XYZ. I've got a really good athlete. She's going to win. He's going to win, whatever. These are your peers all around you. And like the connections you have with other coaches in the community is probably more important than anything else.
Oh yeah,
It's kind of like what we've said in previous episodes, are like all just kind of
it's all coming back in. It's a community
it's like
within a
a-
community.
yeah.
And it was like it's a very small net
Kinda like
community
we're
as
right.
well. Like if you choose to be a shit cunt, like
oh my god.
it will be found. Like it will get
It'll buy
around
you.
quicker than you think. Or if you try and be sneaky, you'll get clients. Or like I've been talking to people and instantly I found out they've been with a coach, and I'll pull right back. Oh, sorry, didn't even know that was happening, and leave it. Or some coaches will take that extra step and put the plug in. And it was like, oh, if it doesn't work, no worries. But like right now, no. Or have you talked to this person?
I think ultimately we're all trying to raise the standard of bodybuilding as a whole, right? Especially from the coaching front, and that then transfers to the athlete front. But like we all want to produce the best possible community and environment for bodybuilding to flourish, no matter what federation it is, no matter what state it is. I think that's collectively what our goal is.
Yep.
So when you see coaches doing the right thing and then you see coaches doing potentially the wrong thing, I think that's when that kind of distaste comes from, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
we're all in this together. Like we're all trying to,
It's all same team.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
everyone does it a different way.
yeah, exactly right.
Nice. I think that I think that's a nice point to wrap it up on, guys. That's all we have. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was a ball.
That was a
Love
mammoth episode
100%.
filled with lots of
Excellent sins.
brain things.
Well
Make
done
sure
for tapping
if
into
you-
the tangents.
If you haven't,
Yeah.
if you haven't followed on DC, your handle
Oh, actually,
is...
yes. Great point. Tell us where to find you both.
Yep. You can go first.
So my Instagram is just _ Nicole Hitchcock. So you can find me on Instagram. And you could also head over to my website if you're looking at coaching, which is nicolehitchcock.com.au.
Awesome. Yep. And you can find me at just daniel.chapelle or BK Conditioning. And you can also find Brandon at Brandon Kempter on Instagram.
Yeah,
Oh,
only
yeah.
no Candace.
Yeah.
15%
Don't forget,
discount
comment.
code.
Does
Comment
that
Ned.
mean that I'm Maud?
Yeah. Yes. Is that his wife?
Oh,
Is that the wife?
She does.
Does she?
Yeah.
Ah,
And then he gets a hot new missus.
Oh, there you go. You can be that one.
It's like wearing nothing at all.
Diddly.
diddly.
Diddly, diddly.
Okay, bye.